Last video, I said that this would be out next week, and next week was 3 weeks ago. But, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, and the important thing is that I'm here now. I'm here now, and I'm here now to talk about the Tatami Galaxy. Oh yes! In terms of themes and visual storytelling, the Tatami Galaxy is one of the most extensive and stellar animated television shows in existence. And you know, it has no downsides to watching it whatsoever. There's none. There's not, I can't think of it. Yes, the dialogue can get very speedy, and trying to watch the first episode can be akin to trying to understand the effects at the end of an antidepressant commercial. But a lot of people have dropped the show or haven't even given it a chance because of this. And while yes, you will have to pause quite a bit in the first episode, that mostly goes away as the series progresses. And in my opinion, you're missing out on some of the most immaculate visual storytelling ever told. So that's my goal in this review, is to get you to watch it, or to get you to give it another try, or hell, even to watch it again. Because while the story is known for its attention to detail and absolutely stunning visuals, the Tatami Galaxy has one of my favorite overall themes in all of anime. Life isn't perfect, and that's okay. I love the story, you guys. I love the story so much that it's kind of instilled a little life dream in me, and that dream is to either produce, direct, or act in an English dubbed version of it. Because I mean, every good anime deserves to be dubbed, but this one desperately needs it. How the Tatami Galaxy doesn't have one is absolutely insane. It's so fast, and the visuals are always so stunning that if you're too focused on the subtitles, you're gonna miss a couple of things. So an English dub of this series is so needed. It's just crazy that it doesn't have one, because it is so crazy good. And here on Manga Theater, we figure out why your favorite manga or anime is so crazy good. This is the Tatami Galaxy review. Today we're going to be talking about episode 1. Now, as I said before, this anime is filled to the brim with visual nods and storytelling elements. So even though I'm going to point out specific things that jump out at me, I'm not going to catch all of it. If you're a fan of Tatami Galaxy, or if you're watching it for the first time, and I miss anything that you like, whether it has to do with the visuals or storytelling or performance of the voice actors, let me know in the comments below and I'll bring it up in the next video. Now, before we start, I need to cite some sources. Now, I know how that sounds. You're like, Ben, really going after the essay part of this video essay. And I don't hate video essay, but I don't ever want this to feel like an essay. I want this to feel like more, I'm coming on here, I'm talking about two things that I love, storytelling and anime and manga. So I come on here and talk about a specific thing, and you guys in the comments can tell me what you guys like or what you guys dislike about it. However, these forums that I'm about to mention are important because their influence is all over this video, and it would just be wrong of me not to point them out. The Tatami Galaxy, episode 1 on wrongeverytime.com, written by Bob Duh in 2016. Why There's No Point in Chasing Perfection According to the Tatami Galaxy on medium.com by Nino Padilla in 2023. And the Tatami Galaxy episode 1 rewatch discussion, r/anime in 2015. You can find the link to all these in the description below. They're brilliant. You should really give them a read. Now, let's talk about some of the best visual storytelling the industry has to offer. The episode starts with a cold open. Already in the first 30 seconds, we have a zooming aerial shot, quick cuts, and 3 different changes in animation styles. And its entire purpose is to introduce this ramen cart that may or may not use actual cats in its recipes. It's wild, it's bonkers, and I love it. By the way, I don't think that cats thing is ever fully explained in the story. Maybe it is, I don't know, I have to keep my eye out for it. Jokes aside, while the story purpose of this is to introduce this ramen cart, the true purpose is to introduce the audience to the stylization of Tatami Galaxy. It goes BAM! This is the unlimited potential of Tatami Galaxy. It immediately hooks with visuals, and it's brilliant for doing so. We are then introduced to our second character. This entire scene frames him as ethereal. When he looks up, the wind blows. When he states his next place of destination, divine rays shine upon him. He also reveals to know everything about our narrator, and from the narrator's reaction, we can tell that he really does know everything about him. So this character has a divine purpose, which is kind of funny because he's kind of dressed and designed like a bum. And even with that, he has this like gargantuan chin, and he has this scarf that's purple with bright yellow polka dots, which, with the kind of dark blue background, sticks out like a sore thumb. The story is telling us that this character is important, and surprise, surprise, he is. Not only does this character know about the narrator's past, but he's also aware of his so-called wasted life. In a fantastic moment of animation, the embarrassment of the past 2 years flashes through our narrator's eyes. It's so gorgeous, and it's the first incredible combination of pandemonium and colors that we see in the series. This also kind of nudges us that our narrator might be a little bit obsessed with the failures that he's had in life. This ethereal second character then says that he is a god of matchmaking, and he plans to match a woman, Akashi-san, to either our narrator or Ozu. I absolutely love that the story does not tell us who Akashi or Ozu are. Instead, it shows us how the narrator feels about them. When mentioning Akashi, the narrator looks shocked, possibly showing that he has genuine care for her. And when mentioning Ozu, the narrator seems more stressed and angry. And just seeing this at the beginning is a great sign. More often than not, good storytellers don't feel the need to hold your hand because they are confident that the story that they have written will give you everything that you need. It will give you the context to understand what is happening. But yeah, that's the cold open, and what an awesome start to the series. So many different things are already at play, storytelling-wise and animation-wise. This cold open does a fantastic job of setting up our main character's motivation, the pace of the story, and the unique and stellar animation the series has to offer. A majority of this first episode focuses on who our main character is and what those disastrous 2 years we heard about earlier entails. And this is obviously important. In my frieren review, you should go watch that, I explained that there are 4 things that must be told at the beginning of your story. In short, you must, number 1, introduce your main characters, 2, introduce the world, 3, introduce why your character is in the world, and 4, showing us the inciting incident that starts it all off. Now, I know I just said it's important, but the Tatami Galaxy is a little bit less beholden to this. The story is very stylistic and unique and kinda like stretches what we know about storytelling, which is really awesome. So I won't harp on it too much like I did in the frieren review, but even still, these simple storytelling elements are still evident in this show. And really, 3 of these 4 things are talked about in this scene. This is the narrator and main character of Tatami Galaxy, Watashi. When he started college, he was adamant about finding what he calls a rose-colored life. Now, there are a lot of phrases and sentences that hold significance throughout the series. However, Watashi's search for a rose-colored life might be the most important. For those who haven't watched it yet, I won't explain its significance as not to spoil, but just know that Watashi's usage of the phrase rose-colored life might be ironic. He seems to be using it to mean his ideal and perfect life, a life of roses and sunshine. And yeah, that checks out. Wearing rose-tinted glasses is also a phrase that's used to see the world in a more beautiful way. But this phrase is also associated with something else. Someone who lives a rose-colored life, or is a rose-colored boy, is often known as someone who is an optimistic idealist, where problems are minimized and great things are exaggerated. And it usually comes with a negative connotation, referring to a person who has an unrealistic view of life or is so overly positive that it's kind of annoying. And as we'll soon find out, Watashi is definitely not a overly positive person. He's more of a glass half empty kind of guy. Him using this phrase and not realizing its double meaning might be important to his character arc and the series as a whole. Or I don't know, maybe I just overanalyzed this. Maybe it's like a translation thing and it has no double meaning and I just wasted your time. I'm sorry. But either way, the phrase is important. Watashi then explains exactly what has been going on in the past 2 years in college and why it's gone so poorly. He talks about failing club activities, a failed relationship, and failing to make any friends. And Watashi's college life seemingly only gets worse after meeting the aforementioned Ozu. Watashi calls him some messenger from hell that only delicate little me can see. And Ozu replies with, another important and repeated phrase in the show. This quote is from the Tatami Galaxy rewatch on Reddit, one of the forums I mentioned earlier. He looks somehow not entirely human. Predatory eyes, onion-shaped hair, elven ears. That's where it all clicks. They look not like human beings, but like a caricature of one, stemming from an exaggerated description given by a person telling a story. In short, we are viewing everything from the mind of Watashi, who is an unreliable narrator. And that's exactly right. So far, Watashi has drawn up all of his failures due to others, Ozu taking the major brunt of that blame. However, while Ozu does instigate bad behaviors, Watashi never really seems against doing these bad deeds either. And hearing Watashi say that he would have been perfect without Ozu begins to make us truly doubt whether he's telling the truth or not. The narrator is always hesitant to go along with Ozu, but not that hesitant. Even though he frames Ozu as an evil imp, it's clear that Ozu is the one who's simply having a good time, while the narrator is truly bitter. The next scene that we get is one of Watashi's and Ozu's bad deeds come to fruition. These two are prepping to shoot fireworks into a crowd of people. Really dangerous, just awful stuff. This scene emphasizes how really truly bitter Watashi is, and tells us that Watashi only begins to rethink his bad deeds when he's around Akashi. By the way, where they actually shoot off the fireworks and Akashi's back is against the wall, oh my gosh. Looks gorgeous, so stunning. Now, why are Ozu and Watashi doing this? Well, they have created a group called the Black Cupids, and if you hadn't guessed from the name, they are basically anti-Cupids. Their entire thing is to break up people rather than bring them together, which is just, it's really awful. Like, it's really bad. It's a little bit funny, but it's still really bad. As Watashi is explaining everything about the Black Cupids, he begins to reach a point where he's talking so fast where he's actually spilling what he truly feels about his whole situation, which is something that happens time and time again in the show. Watashi's rants eventually reach a point of no return, where he spills how he truly feels, and this one is no different. But I didn't lose. I couldn't lose, even though I was sure that losing would have let me and everyone else be happier. Which is actually kind of sad. Watashi's past self has inflicted these awful morals on him, and he feels kind of stuck. Doing the right thing and ending these awful shenanigans would mean that our main character would have to stop and take a hard look at himself, which as of right now, he seems entirely incapable of doing. In the next scene, Watashi visits a fortune teller, who tells him that he is in an unfortunate situation and can't use his talent to the best of his ability because of it, which Watashi loves hearing, once again showing us his desire to feel self-pity, which is actually kind of human. Every human has felt at some point, I just want to feel bad for myself, you know? So I think him doing this is actually, really good writing, but yeah. However, this situation once again disregards him from taking a hard look at himself, because the situation that he's in, more than likely self-inflicted. She tells him that there is an opportunity that he can't let pass by, another recurring and important phrase of the series. She says that if he doesn't take this opportunity, then he will walk the world forever unchanged. which is scary. We know that Watashi does not like being in the situation that he's in. So he needs to find out what that opportunity is. However, this thing that the fortune teller says kind of goes over his head, so he's not even looking for it right now. Which leads us to our next scene. The next one, we learn just tiny little things that Ozu is actually really good with ladies, which I think is so funny, especially with the way that Watashi is like framing his appearance. And the fact that he's a part of the Black Cupids, it truly shows that like Watashi has a purpose in being the Black Cupid and splitting people apart because he's like, oh, I didn't, that relationship with Bam that one time. Whereas Ozu is just, maybe he's just being a good friend, or he's just trying to have a good time, which respect, man, I guess. I also learned that Watashi has been visiting the Shrine of Matchmaking, the one next to the ramen cart, which is, it's really funny that he's been trying to split all these people up, and he still himself wants to find love. I think it's great. Ozu then asks what Watashi thinks about Akashi, and he says, I think she might go out with you. This is an opportunity. Remember the last scene when the fortune teller was like, this is an opportunity that you can't let pass by? There's definitely has a correlation. So now we're hearing and seeing things that is going against Watashi's narrative.
それはお互い様じゃありませんか？どうせあなたはどんな道を選んだって今みたいなありさまになっちまうんだ。いずれにせよ僕はあなたに出会って全力であなたをダメにします。
At the end of the dinner scene, we get our first real moment with Akashi and Watashi. Yeah, she called him an idiot earlier on, but this one, we actually see them more or less interact. As we learn later on, Akashi is rather cold and unresponsive. Literally, we see this guy asking like what she's doing for vacation, and she's like, I don't need to answer that. And it's so great. The animation is like ice cubes around everyone, telling us how cold and unresponsive she is. Awesome. However, the initial interaction we see with her and Watashi is genuine care. Right before he's about to leave, she tells him to keep his promise. Even though we and Watashi have no idea what she's talking about. Watashi finds himself thinking of her alone in his room. He immediately attempts to desert these feelings, stating that it's against his beliefs, referring to his duty as a Black Cupid. However, Watashi immediately backpedals. He remembers what the matchmaking god says, and he immediately becomes haunted at the idea of Ozu and Akashi being together. After putting that image in his mind, he then eats the entire castella that Ozu left behind, all on his own. Two things here. Watashi depriving himself of going after a relationship with Akashi because of this arbitrary occupation he's placed on himself is stupid and absurd. However, on the other side, him going after Akashi only because he doesn't want Ozu to be with her is rather unhealthy and somewhat obsessive. Kind of like eating an entire cake on your own is rather unhealthy and obsessive. We then get my favorite part of the episode. Oh, this scene, man. This scene is just it's so good. Not only is it visually striking, but it also tells us so much about Akashi and Watashi's relationship. They seem to genuinely enjoy each other's company. While the last scene shows Watashi in an unhealthy state, this one shows that their relationship is actually really wholesome. Watashi in this scene is kind and helpful, but in a natural way, one that isn't marred by bitterness or self-interest. Akashi, just being herself, brings the best out of Watashi, which is kind of a flashback to when he talked about when they worked together in the bookstore, when he always said, you just be yourself, or something like that, whatever the quote is. Like, geez, Watashi in this scene is actually like kind of wise, which from what we've seen in the show so far, that shouldn't be the case, but in this scene, he really is. In this scene, he drops one of, if not my favorite quote in all of anime. And I'm being serious. I really, really love this quote. Like, every time I hear it, it's like I feel like I get gut punched because I'm like, oh, that is good.
心配するな。どうせ地球は丸いのだ。いつかまた会える。なんなら私が探してあげてもいい。
Now, the entirety of this first episode has been great so far, but this is really the first part of the series that is so damn special. It's just so great. I absolutely love how quiet it is. The show up until this point has been going 110 miles per hour with out of this world visuals. So when a scene like this comes along that is natural and more soft, it emphasizes its importance. As I said in my frieren review, what we love about anime is its creative, wacky, and just crazy ideas and premises. However, what we want to see are characters that are naturally human experiencing that. Now, obviously, if it's a comedy or if it's a slapstick, there's more leeway on that, but in stories like this, in stories like the Tatami Galaxy or stories like frieren that have a bigger overall theme, make your characters human. And yes, the Tatami Galaxy is crazy and sometimes all over the place, but the characters, from what we've seen so far, are naturally human, which is awesome. Oh, the ending of the scene, man. When they talk about the ramen place, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm just gonna play it.
それより猫ラーメンに連れて行ってください。
そんなことなら。
約束ですよ。
約束ってそうか。
Now, remember back to the end of the dinner scene. This explains the promise Akashi mentioned in that scene.
Get to the point! All right, kiddo, tell me. What do you know about time travel?
Less than I should.
We are now in the final part of the episode. Watashi mans up and goes to ask the matchmaking god for some help. He then goes to the bridge to ask Akashi out, and I mean, it's the first episode. Obviously, he's not gonna do that yet. I love the animation when Watashi is nervous. He becomes like this little block monster who's like, "Argh." We've all felt that way before. Watashi tells himself, he's like, yeah, it's fine, I did enough. Ozu immediately intervenes, revealing that he's been kinda in cahoots with the matchmaking god to get him and Akashi together, which is actually really sweet. I really like Ozu. I really do. Even though the whole episode, Watashi has been trying to frame him as this demon, I really like him. He's funny. He's great. Ozu then gets attacked for the fireworks thing that happened earlier, and he gets thrown in the river. Watashi is then also recognized and gets thrown in the river. Time freezes when he begins to fall in. He states, "I can't shake off this feeling of regret." Surely if he chose differently, he would have been much better off. How could it get any worse than this? It had to have been his surroundings that crumbled his rose-colored life into dust. The clock strikes 4 and begins to rapidly rewind. We see the entirety of the episode recede and the last 2 years reset. We will soon see if Watashi's rose-colored life can come alive through different choices. Notice in this scene that there are plenty of things that are unexplained. There's this fire symbol in the background, which we don't really have context for. There are specific characters who are highlighted in this scene that we've never met. And why is Ozu dressed like a woman? What I will say is that we'll find out about all of it in the future. If you made it through this episode, congratulations! The series gets progressively easier to watch from here. Now, although this episode is fast, I still think it does a spectacular job of introducing its characters, the world, and the pacing of the show. The highlight of the first episode is definitely the animation. My god, the contrast between the limited colored characters and the crazy and vibrant backgrounds are incredibly stunning and just genius. Not to mention how many times the style of the animation changes. In this episode alone, we obviously get hand-drawn stuff, but we also get 3D and even live action footage as well. This episode is great, and it's only a starting point. Story and animation only get better from here, and I can't wait to talk more about this awesome and spectacular series in the future. Woo! Okay, I'm so sorry if this video feels like more of a retelling or overview. There's just a lot of things in this episode that we really needed to cover so that in the future, when certain things happen again, we don't necessarily need to completely harp on it. I also want to say sorry once again. I know that I said that this would be out like 3 weeks ago. Life just gets in the way sometimes. I'm so immensely thankful for all the views, likes and new subscribers that came from that first frieren episode. Most of the comments were really kind, and people who were disagreeing with me in the comments were just so nice. I love talking about the stories and discussing it with other people. So please keep leaving your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'm gonna try to do weekly videos from here on out. I think I got it licked, but if something doesn't come out next week, know that I haven't got it licked and things just went crazy. But the next video is definitely going to be frieren again, so stay tuned for that. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. See you guys next time, and this is what we'll be talking about. How do you guys like my new bookshelf? I wanna show it off to some people. Taking you with me. Oh, cords everywhere. Cords everywhere. I got an extra shelf in the background, kind of, so I can like stack. So obviously that's all one piece with Haikyuu. Up there is modern day shonen stuff. We got Chainsaw Man, Dan to Dan, Demon Slayer, Spy Family up there, and then up there we have most of my sports and romances, and then over here we have Seinen, MHA, Berserk, Vinland Saga. Hey, that's the camera. Bye really this time. Bye!